I used to think Danger had a face you could recognize. Cold eyes, cruel smile, the kind of man your mother warns you about. But when Marcus showed up at my door that Saturday morning, Danger looked like salvation. He was bald, covered in tattoos that crawled up his neck like vines reclaiming forgotten ground, and his hands, God. His hands were scarred in ways that told stories I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. I'd hired him off an app for $20 an hour to help me move. What I didn't know was that the moment I let him carry that first box into my apartment, I was letting in 10 years of prison survival instincts, a past I couldn't imagine, and a protection I didn't know I desperately needed. You will feel so many emotions in this story of second chances and forbidden love. Please support us by clicking subscribe to the channel. The morning Marcus arrived, I was already regretting everything. The apartment, the breakup, the impulsive decision to start over in a city where I knew exactly 3 people and trusted none of them. I'd spent the previous night sleeping on an air mattress surrounded by boxes, listening to sirens and wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. When I posted the job listing, need help moving, 20 hours or 4 hours max. I'd expected a college kid or maybe a retiree looking for extra cash. What I got was Marcus. He knocked at exactly 8 a.m., which should have been my first clue he was different. When I opened the door, my breath caught. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with the kind of build that came from years of prison yard workouts, not a gym membership. His head was shaved clean, and tattoos covered every visible inch of skin. Dark ink that looked like it had been applied with more pain than artistry. Some were faded, prison tattoos done with makeshift needles and commissary ink. A cross on his neck, numbers on his knuckles, a name on his forearm that had been covered with something else, the scar tissue visible even from where I stood. You, Emma. His voice was rough, like gravel scraped over concrete. Yeah, you're... Marcus? I checked my phone, comparing his face to the profile picture. The photo showed a younger man with hair and fewer tattoos. This Marcus looked like he'd lived 3 lifetimes since that picture was taken. He didn't smile. That's me. You want to show me what needs moving? I should have been afraid. Everything about him screamed danger. The tattoos, the scars, the way his eyes swept my apartment like he was calculating exits and vulnerabilities. But there was something else in his posture. Something careful and contained. He didn't step inside until I moved back. He didn't touch anything without asking first. And when he started carrying boxes, he moved with a precision that suggested he understood the value of honest work. For 4 hours, Marcus transformed chaos into order. He assembled my IKEA furniture without looking at instructions, his scarred hands moving with surprising gentleness. He carried my couch up the stairs alone, refusing my offer to help. He organized boxes by room without being asked. And when I tried to make small talk, he answered in short sentences that revealed nothing personal. No family, no hobbies, no past, just the work. By 6 p.m., my apartment looked like a home for the first time in months. Furniture arranged, boxes stacked neatly, even my kitchen organized in a way that made sense. I pulled out my wallet to tip him an extra $40. He shook his head. You already paid through the app. I know, but you did way more than... I did the job. His tone left no room for argument. I walked him to the door, relief and exhaustion making me clumsy. That's when he stopped. His body went still in that way that made the hair on my neck stand up. Not threatening, but alert. Watching. He turned slowly, his eyes scanning my apartment with new intensity. The windows with their broken locks, the flimsy door with no deadbolt, the ground floor accessibility, the parking lot visible through my kitchen window, one flickering streetlight struggling against the dark. Marcus pulled out his phone without asking permission. What are you? You're not staying here alone tonight. His voice was flat. Final. I stiffened. Excuse me? He didn't repeat himself. He just dialed, and I heard him say, Yeah, it's Marcus Webb. I need a locksmith at... He rattled off my address. I didn't ask you to... No, he agreed, pocketing his phone. You didn't. Locksmith will be here in 20 minutes. After he installs a deadbolt, I'll take your couch. You take the bed. Tomorrow we'll talk about security cameras. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was insane. I didn't know this man. He could be anyone, planning anything. But when I looked at his face, I didn't see threat. I saw exhaustion. I saw someone who'd seen too much to ignore danger when it was standing right in front of him. "Why do you care?" I whispered. For the first time all day, something shifted in his expression. Something almost human, almost vulnerable. "Because I know what happens when nobody's watching," he said quietly. "And I'm not letting that happen here." The locksmith came. Marcus paid him cash before I could protest. And when the new deadbolt was installed and the locksmith was gone, Marcus Webb, this stranger with prison tattoos and secrets in his eyes, settled onto my couch like he was standing guard. I went to my bedroom but didn't sleep. Instead, I lay awake wondering who I'd just let into my life, and why some part of me felt safer than I had in years. You will feel so many emotions in this story of second chances and forbidden love. Please support us by clicking subscribe to the channel. Marcus was gone when I woke up. The couch was neatly arranged, the blanket I'd given him folded with military precision. On my kitchen counter sat a piece of paper with a phone number and 3 words. "Call if trouble." I told myself that was the end of it. One strange, protective encounter with a man I'd never see again. Except I did see him again. The next morning at the bus stop, he was there, sitting in a beat-up Ford pickup across the street, drinking coffee from a gas station cup. When I looked at him, he nodded once and drove away. Tuesday night, after my shift at Ruby's Diner ended at 11, he was in the parking lot. Same truck, same careful distance. He didn't approach, didn't explain. Just waited until I was in my car and on the road before following at a respectful distance until I turned into my apartment complex. By Thursday, I'd had enough. When I walked out of the diner and saw his truck, I marched over and knocked on his window. He rolled it down slowly. "Are you following me?" "Yes." No apology, no excuse. "Why?" "Because someone else is..." The words hit me like cold water. "What are you talking about?" Marcus gestured toward the far corner of the parking lot. A silver sedan, older model, tinted windows. "He's been here every night this week. Parks in the same spot, watches the diner, leaves 5 minutes after you do." My stomach dropped. That could be anyone. Maybe they work nearby, or could be. Marcus's eyes never left the sedan. "But yesterday morning, the same car was parked outside your apartment complex. And Tuesday afternoon, it was at the grocery store on 5th where you stopped after work." I couldn't breathe. "How do you know where I..." "Because I've been watching him watch you." Now Marcus did look at me, and his expression was harder than stone. I wanted to be wrong, I'm not. The sedan's engine started. Slowly, carefully, it pulled out of the parking lot. Marcus tensed like a hunting dog spotting prey, but he didn't move. We both watched the car disappear into traffic. "Who is it?" I whispered. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." That night, Marcus followed me home again. This time, when I got out of my car, he did too. "I need to check your apartment." "Marcus, this is crazy. I can't just..." "Did you give your address to anyone recently? Ex-boyfriend? Someone from work? Dating app?" My blood went cold. Derek. My ex-boyfriend Derek, who I'd broken up with 3 weeks before moving. Derek, who'd sent me 47 texts calling me selfish and ungrateful. Derek, who'd shown up at my old apartment twice before I finally blocked him on everything. Marcus saw the recognition in my face. "What's his name?" "Derek Paulson, but he doesn't even know where I live now. I didn't tell anyone my new address except..." I stopped. "Except Linda, my coworker. Linda, who dated Derek's friend Mike. Linda, who'd asked for my new address in case of emergencies." "He knows," Marcus said quietly, "and he's testing boundaries. Seeing if you notice, seeing if you're alone." I wanted to argue, to insist Marcus was being paranoid. But I couldn't. Because deep down, I knew Derek was exactly the kind of man who'd convince himself he had the right to know where I was. To check on me, to make sure I wasn't moving on. "Ha, what do I do?" "You let me come inside. You let me check your locks. And tomorrow, you file a report with the police so there's a paper trail." Marcus's voice was steady, professional, like he'd given this speech before. I let him in. He checked every window, every lock, every possible entry point. When he was satisfied, he sat at my kitchen table and pulled out a small notebook. "Tell me everything about Derek. Where he works, what car he drives, who his friends are, everywhere he knows you go." For 2 hours, I talked while Marcus took notes in careful block letters. He asked questions I hadn't considered. Did Derek ever show up places unexpectedly? Did he have a key to your old apartment? Does he know your work schedule? By the time we finished, it was past 2 in the morning. Marcus stood to leave, but I grabbed his arm without thinking. His muscles tensed under my fingers. "Thank you," I said. For seeing me. For caring when you didn't have to." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or pain. "Get some sleep. Lock the deadbolt after I leave. I'll be parked outside until sunrise." "You don't have to." "I know." He moved toward the door, then stopped. "Emma, there's something you should know about me. About why I notice things other people miss." My heart hammered. "Okay. I've spent the last 10 years learning to assess danger in seconds, learning to watch for threats, learning to survive by paying attention to details everyone else ignores." He turned to face me fully. "I learned those things in prison, and I'm out now because I served my time. But that doesn't change what I am." The confession hung between us like smoke. I should have been terrified. Should have asked him to leave and never come back. Instead, I heard myself say, "What were you in for?" "Armed robbery, assault. I was 23 and stupid and desperate, and I made choices that hurt people." His voice was flat, emotionless. "I did every day of my 10-year sentence. Got out 6 months ago. I'm on parole, I work construction, and I'm trying to build something that looks like a life. Why are you telling me this?" "Because tomorrow, someone's going to warn you about me. Your coworker, or a neighbor, or maybe even the cops when you file that report. And I'd rather you hear it from me first." He met my eyes. "I'm not that person anymore, but I can't erase what I did. So if you want me to walk away, I will. No questions, no hard feelings." I thought about the man who'd installed my locks without being asked, who'd followed me to keep me safe, who'd spent hours helping me understand the danger I was in, who'd been honest when he could have stayed hidden. "Don't walk away," I whispered. "Please." Marcus nodded once, slow and deliberate. Then he left, and through my window I watched him settle into his truck, a shadow keeping watch in the dark. The next morning, Linda pulled me aside at work. Her face was pale. "Emma, that man who's been helping you, Marcus Webb? I Googled him last night." She handed me her phone. The screen showed a news article from 10 years ago. Local man sentenced to 10 years for armed robbery, victim still recovering. I looked at the mugshot. Marcus was younger, harder, with hate in his eyes. Nothing like the careful man who'd protected me. "I know," I said quietly. "He told me." Linda's eyes widened. "And you still let him in your apartment?" "Emma, he's dangerous. He's the only person who noticed I was being stalked." I interrupted. "He's the only one who cared enough to do something about it. But his past is exactly that. His past." I handed back her phone. "Thanks for worrying, Linda. But I'm not afraid of Marcus Webb." What I didn't say was that I was more afraid of the silver sedan that was now parked across the street from the diner. More afraid of Derek, who'd never learned that no means no. More afraid of being alone than I was of the tattooed ex-convict who'd spent last night parked outside my apartment to keep me safe. That afternoon, I filed a police report. Officer Reyes took my statement with professional detachment until I mentioned Marcus. "Marcus Webb is helping you." His eyebrows rose. "You know he's on parole, right? For violent crimes?" "I know. He told me everything." Officer Reyes leaned back in his chair. "Look, I'm not going to tell you who to associate with, but Webb's parole officer is a friend of mine. If he's violating terms by getting involved in this situation, he's not violating anything. He's being a good citizen and helping someone in danger, which, frankly, is more than your department has done so far." I heard the anger in my voice and didn't care. Reyes sighed. "Fair enough. We'll add this to the report. If Derek Paulson contacts you or approaches you, call 911 immediately. And Miss Porter, be careful. Men like Webb, they're complicated. Past trauma, survival instincts, the whole prison mentality. It doesn't just go away because they're free." I left the police station with a case number and a growing sense that the system wouldn't protect me. But Marcus would. And maybe that made me foolish. But it was the first time in months I'd felt like someone was actually on my side. That night, Derek made his move. I came home to find my car window smashed, glass glittering across the parking lot. On the driver's seat was a note in Derek's handwriting. "You can't hide from me." My hands shook as I called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. "Emma." "He found me. Derek, he broke my window. He left a note." My voice cracked. "Yeah, lock your doors. I'm 5 minutes away." He made it in 4. And when he pulled up and saw the damage, I watched his expression shift from concern to something cold and calculated. Something that reminded me he'd survived a decade in maximum security by being smarter and harder than everyone around him. "This ends now," he said quietly, "but we do it my way. Legal. Documented. By the book." He looked at me, and I saw the internal war in his eyes, between the man he used to be and the man he was trying to become. "I can't go back to prison, Emma, but I also can't let him hurt you. So you need to trust me. Can you do that?" I thought about Derek, escalating and dangerous. I thought about Marcus, reformed and careful and standing between me and violence. "I trust you," I whispered. Marcus nodded. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call I couldn't quite hear. When he hung up, his expression was grim. "My parole officer just gave permission for me to stay at your place tonight for documentation purposes. We're going to let Derek come back, and when he does, we'll be ready." As we drove to the police station to file another report, I realized I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. I was trusting my safety to a man with violence in his past. And somehow, that felt like the sanest decision I'd made in months. The police took photos of my car. Officer Reyes added it to my growing file, and through it all, Marcus stood beside me like a sentinel, his presence both comforting and intimidating. When we finally left the station at midnight, I was exhausted, angry, and terrified. "I'll follow you home," Marcus said. "Then I need to make some calls." "What kind of calls?" He hesitated. "People I know from before. People who can find out things the police can't." My stomach tightened. "Marcus, you can't." "I'm not doing anything illegal. But I know people who know people, and one of them will know where Derek's been staying, what car he's driving now, who he's talking to. Information is power, Emma. And right now, we need all the power we can get." At my apartment, Marcus made good on his promise. He sat on my couch with his phone, making quiet calls while I tried to distract myself with meaningless television. I heard fragments, names I didn't recognize, questions asked in coded language, mentions of parole that made me wonder how many of his contacts were also trying to rebuild broken lives. Around 2 a.m., he hung up and looked at me with grim satisfaction. "Derek's living with his friend Mike, same guy who dated your coworker Linda. Mike's apartment is on the east side, near the industrial district. Derek's driving his mother's silver Camry. That's the car that's been following you. And he's been telling people you betrayed him and ruined his life by leaving." "How did you—" "I told you. I know people." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Here's what we know. Derek is escalating. The stalking, the car window, the note. That's a pattern. He's building up to something bigger. Men like him, they don't stop until they feel like they've won or until they're forced to stop. What do? We wait. We document everything, and we make sure you're never alone until this is resolved." He met my eyes. "That means I'm staying here. On your couch, with your permission, with my parole officer's approval. I know it's asking a lot." "Stay," I said immediately. "Please stay." Something in his expression softened. "Okay. But Emma, you need to understand something. I'm going to do everything I can to keep you safe. But I also have lines I can't cross. I can't fight Derek unless he attacks first. I can't threaten him. I can't violate my parole conditions. Because if I do, I go back to Pelican Bay. And you're alone again. I understand. Do you?" Marcus stood and crossed to the window, staring out at the parking lot. "Because I spent 10 years in a concrete box. Emma, 10 years of eating bad food and sleeping with one eye open and watching my back every second. 10 years of violence and hierarchy and survival. I got out because I kept my head down, followed every rule, and convinced a parole board I'd changed." He turned back to me. "But that violence, that survival instinct, it doesn't just disappear because I'm wearing different clothes. It's in here." He tapped his chest. "Every day, I have to choose not to be that person. And having Derek threaten you, it's making that choice really fucking hard." The raw honesty in his voice cracked something open in my chest. Tell me about it. About prison. About who you were. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he sat back down, and for the first time since I'd met him, he let his guard drop. I was 23. My mom was sick, cancer, and we didn't have insurance. I was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough. The bills kept coming, and I kept drowning. My cousin Danny, he had this idea. Easy money, he said. Just walk in with masks, take the register, get out. No one gets hurt. Marcus's laugh was bitter. Except Mr. Chen, the store owner. He fought back. He grabbed a bat, and Danny panicked and hit him. I didn't pull the trigger. We didn't even have a gun. But I was there. I helped plan it. I drove the car. And when Mr. Chen went down with a cracked skull and a broken arm, I ran instead of helping. What happened to Danny? Died in a car crash 3 years into his sentence. High-speed chase. He never could sit still. Marcus rubbed his face. I did all 10 years. Earned my GED in prison. Took every anger management and vocational program they offered. Wrote letters to Mr. Chen every week for 8 years. Did he ever write back? No, and I don't blame him. I took something from him. His safety, his health, his peace of mind. No amount of sorry fixes that. Marcus looked at me. When I got out, I promised myself I'd never let desperation turn me into that person again. I'd work honest jobs. I'd follow every parole rule. I'd help people instead of hurting them. And I was doing okay until you opened your door last Saturday and I saw that you needed help. You don't owe me anything, Marcus. I know. But maybe that's the point. I'm not doing this because I owe you. I'm doing it because I can. Because for the first time since I got out, I can actually make a difference in someone's life instead of just existing. We sat in silence for a while. Outside, the city hummed with late-night traffic and distant sirens. Inside, I studied this man who'd been honest about his worst moments and was trying so hard to be better. I don't care what you did, I said finally. I care about who you are now. Marcus met my eyes. And who am I now? Someone who notices when people are in danger. Someone who installs locks and makes phone calls and sits on uncomfortable couches to keep strangers safe. Someone who chose to be better even when it would have been easier not to. You make me sound like a hero. I'm not. No, I agreed. You're human. Complicated. Trying. That's better than a hero. He smiled then. The first real smile I'd seen from him. It transformed his face, softening the hard edges and revealing the young man he might have been if life had been kinder. Get some sleep, he said. Tomorrow we'll install security cameras and maybe get you some pepper spray. I went to my bedroom but left the door cracked. From the couch, I heard Marcus moving around, checking locks, positioning himself so he could see both the door and the window. Standing guard like he'd probably done 1,000 times in a place much more dangerous than my apartment. I fell asleep feeling safer than I had in weeks. I woke to the smell of coffee and found Marcus in my kitchen, making breakfast from the meager supplies in my fridge. You don't have to. I know. But I'm up anyway. And you need to eat. We sat at my small table, eating scrambled eggs and toast while the morning news played on my laptop. It felt shockingly domestic. This breakfast with an ex-convict who'd become my unexpected protector. I have to work today, I said. Lunch shift at the diner. I'll drop you off, pick you up, stay close. Marcus, you must have your own life, your own job. I'm between construction gigs right now. And even if I wasn't, he set down his coffee. Emma, I told you. I've been watching Derek. He's getting bolder. Yesterday was a warning. Today or tomorrow, he'll make a real move. And I need to be there when he does. A chill ran down my spine. You really think he'll try something? I know he will. Men like Derek, they escalate until they get what they want or until someone stops them. The police can't stop him. Not until he does something serious enough for jail time. But I can be there to make sure you're protected when he shows up. And what about you? What happens to you if something goes wrong? Marcus's expression hardened. Then I deal with the consequences. But you'll be safe. That's what matters. I wanted to argue, to insist his freedom was just as important as my safety. But before I could, Marcus's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his jaw tightened. It's my parole officer, he answered, stepping into the living room. I heard fragments of the conversation. Yes, ma'am. I understand. She gave permission. No violations, I swear. When he came back, his face was drawn. Ms. Diaz wants to meet with me. Today, someone called in a complaint about me harassing you. What? Who would? Then I understood. Derek. Probably. Or someone he convinced to call. It's a smart move. If he can get my parole officer to force me away from you, you're vulnerable again. I'll come with you. I'll tell her the truth. Emma, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Because you're not the one harassing me. Derek is. And if your parole officer is going to make decisions about your freedom, she deserves to hear that from me. Marcus looked at me with something that might have been gratitude or might have been disbelief. You'd do that. You've been protecting me for days. It's the least I can do. We drove to Mr. Diaz's office in silence. The building was standard government architecture. Beige walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of industrial cleaner. Marcus's posture changed as we walked in, becoming more formal, more careful. This was his reality, constantly monitored, constantly judged, one mistake away from losing everything. Mrs. Diaz was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She looked between Marcus and me with professional skepticism. Mr. Webb, Miss Porter, please sit. We sat. Marcus kept his hands visible on the table, a gesture I recognized from prison movies. Total transparency. I received a complaint this morning, Ms. Diaz began. Allegations that Mr. Webb has been stalking Miss Porter, showing up uninvited at her home and workplace, and making her uncomfortable. Given Mr. Webb's history and parole conditions, these are serious allegations. They're not true, I said immediately. Marcus has been helping me. Let Mr. Webb speak first, please. Mrs. Diaz turned to Marcus. What's your side of this? Marcus explained everything, the moving job, noticing the security issues, seeing Derek's car, checking in to make sure I was safe. He spoke in clear, factual sentences, no emotion, just data. When he finished, Miss Diaz turned to me. Miss Porter, you're saying you want Mr. Webb's involvement in this situation? Yes, completely. He's been nothing but professional and helpful. I have a stalker, my ex-boyfriend, Derek Paulson, and Marcus noticed before I did. He's been protecting me, helping me file police reports, making sure I'm safe. If anything, I'm the one who asked him to stay involved. Ms. Diaz studied me. And you're aware of Mr. Webb's criminal history? Yes, he told me everything. And I don't care what he did 10 years ago. I care that right now, today, he's the only person who's actually helping me. A long silence. Then Ms. Diaz sighed. Mr. Webb, I'm going to approve your continued involvement with Miss Porter, but with conditions. You will document every interaction. You will not engage in any physical altercations. You will call me if the situation escalates before you take any action, and if I receive one more complaint about you, we're done. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're walking a very thin line here. She looked at both of us. And Miss Porter, be careful. Not because I think Mr. Webb will hurt you, but because the world doesn't give men like him second chances easily. If this situation goes wrong, he's the one who'll pay the price. As we left her office, I felt the weight of her words. Marcus's freedom depended on everything going perfectly, and Derek was doing everything he could to make sure that didn't happen. I'm sorry, Marcus said as we got in his truck. I'm sorry my past makes this complicated. You have nothing to apologize for. You've done everything right. I touched his arm. We'll figure this out. Together. He looked at me, and something shifted in his expression. Hope mixed with fear. Emma, if this goes bad. It won't. But if it does, I need you to know, helping you these past few days, it's been the first time since I got out that I felt like my life had purpose. Like I was more than just an ex-convict trying to survive. So thank you for seeing me as a person instead of a prison number. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his expression darkened. It's one of my contacts. Derek just posted on social media. He showed me the post, Derek's Facebook page, a photo of my apartment building with the caption, "Found you. Can't hide forever, baby." My blood went cold. He knows I know he's watching. He's taunting me. And he's escalating. Marcus's voice was grim. This ends tonight, one way or another. What are we going to do? Marcus started the truck, his jaw set with determination. We're going to do exactly what Miss Diaz said. Document everything. Call the police. And when Derek makes his move, because he will make his move, we're going to be ready. As we drove back to my apartment, I realized something that should have terrified me, but didn't. I was trusting my life to a man with violence in his past. And somehow, that felt like the only sane choice in a situation spinning out of control. Derek had been stalking me for weeks. The police couldn't help me. My friends didn't understand. But Marcus saw the danger, believed me, and was willing to risk everything to keep me safe. That night, as Marcus set up the security cameras we'd bought on the way home, I watched him work with careful precision, every movement deliberate, every decision calculated. This was who he'd become, someone who planned instead of reacting, who built instead of destroying, who protected instead of harming. Cameras are live, he said, showing me the app on my phone. You can see every angle of your apartment. If anyone approaches, you'll know. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Derek's going to come. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But he's going to come. And when he does... Marcus met my eyes. I need you to stay inside. Lock the door. Call 911. Let me handle him. Marcus, I mean it, Emma. I can't protect you and worry about you getting in the middle of things. Please. Trust me to do this right. I nodded, throat tight, because I did trust him. This man I'd known for less than a week, who'd been honest about his worst moments and was trying so hard to be better. I trusted him with my life. We didn't have to wait long. At 2:47 a.m., my phone buzzed with a security alert. On the camera feed, I saw Derek's face, illuminated by the flickering parking lot light. He was walking toward my apartment door with something in his hand. Marcus was already moving, positioning himself by the door, phone in hand. Call 911, he said quietly. Tell them someone's trying to break into your apartment, then stay in your bedroom. Marcus, Emma, please. I made the call, my voice shaking, while Marcus stood utterly still, watching Derek through the peephole. I heard Derek testing the door handle, then a crack. He was using something to pry at the lock. Marcus didn't move, didn't open the door. Just waited, phone recording everything, while Derek committed a crime on camera. The new deadbolt held. Derek cursed, loud enough to hear through the door. Then he started kicking, rage overriding caution. That's when Marcus opened the door. I couldn't see what happened from my bedroom, but I heard Marcus's voice, calm and controlled. She called the police 4 minutes ago. They're 2 minutes out. You can run or you can stay and go to jail. Your choice, Derek. Derek's response was a roar of rage. I heard impact, fist on flesh, and my heart stopped. Don't, Marcus said, still calm. You're already going to jail for breaking and entering. Don't add assault to the list. More cursing, the sound of someone running, then sirens, getting closer. When I finally emerged from my bedroom, Marcus was standing in the doorway, bruised but upright. Derek was gone, and 2 police cars were pulling into the parking lot. Officer Reyes took statements, reviewed the camera footage, looked at Marcus's defensive wounds and Derek's forced entry. You did this by the book, Reyes said, almost surprised. Documented everything, called your parole officer first, didn't engage until he attacked. I learned from good teachers, Marcus replied. 10 years worth? Derek was arrested an hour later at Mike's apartment. Breaking and entering, assault, violation of a restraining order. The charges were enough to keep him locked up, at least for a while. But as I watched them take Derek away, I saw the way the officers looked at Marcus, not like a hero, but like a threat they were tolerating. His past would always color how people saw him, no matter what he did right. I'm sorry, I said when we were finally alone again. For what? That you have to prove yourself over and over. That people can't just see who you are now. Marcus smiled tiredly. Welcome to life after prison. Every day is a test. Every choice is scrutinized. Every mistake is proof you haven't really changed. He looked at me. But tonight I proved I have changed. I didn't lose control. I didn't fight back harder than necessary. I did it right. And you're safe. That's what matters. As dawn broke over the city, Marcus finally sat down on my couch, exhaustion catching up with him. I sat beside him, close enough to feel his warmth. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. You're welcome. But Emma, this isn't over. Derek will make bail eventually. And when he does, we'll deal with it. Together. Marcus looked at me. Really looked at me. Like he was trying to memorize my face. You keep saying that. Together. Like you're planning to stick around. I am. If you'll let me. Why? I'm complicated. My past is always going to follow me. Being with me means judgment and scrutiny, and I kissed him. Just a gentle press of lips, brief and honest. When I pulled back, his eyes were wide with surprise. Because I see you, I said. Not your past, not your mistakes. You. The man who installs locks and makes breakfast and protects people who need protecting. That's who I'm choosing. If you'll have me. Marcus's response was to pull me close, his scarred hands gentle against my face. Emma Porter. He murmured. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most foolish. Maybe both. Definitely both. He smiled against my hair. But I'll take it. I'll take you. As long as you understand what you're getting into. I understand. Complicated, scrutinized, judged, fighting for second chances every single day. And you're okay with that. I thought about the man who'd noticed I was in danger when no one else did. Who'd been honest when he could have hidden. Who'd protected me while following every rule that governed his fragile freedom. I'm more than okay with it, I said. I'm all in. As morning light filled my apartment, Marcus held me close. And for the first time in years, I felt completely safe. Not because the danger was gone, it wasn't, but because I'd found someone who saw me, protected me, and chose to be better every single day. And that, I was learning, was what real love looked like. The morning after Derek's arrest, reality settled in like dust after a storm. Marcus made coffee while I called into work, explaining I needed a few days off. My manager didn't ask questions. The police report had done its work. We need to talk about what happens next, Marcus said, sitting across from me. Derek will make bail, probably by tomorrow, and when he does, he'll be angrier. The fear I'd been pushing down surfaced. So what do we do? First, you get a proper restraining order. Second, we document everything. Third, he hesitated. I stay close, if that's what you want. Of course that's what I want. He studied our joined hands. Being with me isn't just complicated, it's scrutinized. My parole officer will want to know about us. I have to report significant relationships. Then we'll report it. And your family, friends, they'll have opinions about you dating an ex-convict. I thought about my mother in Ohio, about Linda's warnings. Let them have opinions. I know who you are. That afternoon, we met with Miss Diaz, his parole officer. She asked pointed questions about our relationship, about whether I felt safe, about the stakes. Marcus has 11 months left on parole. One mistake, and he goes back. Are you both prepared for that reality? Yes, we said simultaneously. Over the next week, we fell into a rhythm. Marcus returned to his construction job while I worked at the diner. Evenings, we cooked together, talked, learned each other's stories. I discovered he loved science fiction, was teaching himself carpentry, sent money to his niece's college fund despite his sister refusing him contact. He learned I'd dropped out of college to support Derek, that I'd always wanted to be a teacher, that his steady presence was teaching me it was okay to need someone. You should go back to school, Marcus said one evening. Finish your degree. Says the man who got his GED in prison. Exactly. Says the man who knows what it's like to want more. He smiled. You're too smart to serve coffee forever. But our peace was fragile. Derek made bail. Linda called with the news, her voice tight with worry. Marcus took it with grim acceptance. New rules. You don't go anywhere alone. We vary your routine. Keep your phone charged. This feels like prison, I said. It is, but it's temporary. Derek will slip up, and when he does, he goes back to jail. We just have to outlast him. Then the threats started. Anonymous messages. You made a mistake. He can't protect you forever. A phone call to Marcus from someone claiming to be Derek's friend, warning him to back off. We documented everything, but Officer Reyes said it wasn't enough without proof Derek was behind it. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. I found him on the couch at midnight, staring at nothing. What are you really afraid of? I asked. That I'll fail you. that I'll lose you. His voice cracked. And Emma, I can't go through that. Not after finally having something worth losing. You won't lose me. You can't promise that. Then let me promise this. Whatever happens, we face it together. I touched his scarred face. You're not the man you were 10 years ago. You've proven that every single day. He pulled me close. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. 3 days later, everything changed. Marcus's ex-cellmate Tommy called. Derek had contacted him, offered him money to handle Marcus. He said no, Marcus told me grimly. But Emma, if Derek's willing to pay someone to hurt me, he's desperate. And desperate people do unpredictable things. There has to be something we can do. Marcus was quiet, thinking, maybe there is. We bait Derek into violating the restraining order, so obviously the police can't ignore it. We document everything, and we make sure he goes away for a long time. That's dangerous. Very, but it's our best option. He took my hands. I need you to trust me. Trust that I can do this without losing control, without violating my parole. I looked into his determined eyes. I trust you, completely. Then let's end this. Once and for all. Marcus's plan was simple but terrifying. We'd create an opportunity for Derek to make a move, a situation where he'd think I was vulnerable and alone. Marcus would watch from a distance with cameras recording everything. Officer Reyes reluctantly agreed. If Derek takes the bait and you document it, we can finally put him away. We spent 2 days preparing. Marcus installed hidden cameras around my apartment and in my car. He coordinated with police who'd be nearby but invisible. Miss A. Diaz gave reluctant approval with a warning. One mistake, and you're done. The trap was set for Friday night. I'd leave work alone, Marcus visibly absent, and drive home. He'd follow from a distance, tracking me through GPS. If Derek made his move, we'd have everything we needed. Thursday night, Marcus paced my apartment, checking equipment obsessively. What if something goes wrong? He asked for the 10th time. Marcus. I caught his hands. We've planned this. The police will be close. You'll be watching. I'll be okay. You don't know that. I know you won't let anything happen to me. I pulled him to the couch. What are you really afraid of? I'm afraid I'll fail you. I'm afraid... His voice broke. I'm afraid I'll lose you, and I can't survive that. You won't lose me. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. That night, neither of us slept much. At dawn, Marcus reviewed the plan one final time. I'll be at the diner during your shift, visible. Then I'll leave, obviously. You wait 15 minutes, then leave alone. If Derek follows, drive normally. Get inside your apartment fast. I'll be tracking you, and police will be watching. At work, Marcus sat in his usual spot. At 10 p.m., he kissed me goodbye loudly, said he had to meet his parole officer early the next morning, and left. I waited 15 minutes, my hands shaking. Then I walked to my car. For the first few minutes, everything seemed normal. Then I saw it in my rearview mirror, a silver Camry, Derek's mother's car. My heart hammered. I forced myself to breathe, to drive normally. The Camry followed through 3 turns, maintaining distance. I pulled into my apartment complex. The Camry waited, then followed. I parked and walked to my door, forcing calm. Behind me, a car door slammed, footsteps running. Emma, wait! I fumbled with my keys. Derek was closer. I just want to talk. I got inside and threw the deadbolt. Through the peephole, I watched Derek approach, his face twisted with rage. He pounded on the door. Emma, open up. We need to talk. I dialed 911 with shaking hands. My ex-boyfriend is violating a restraining order. He's at my door. Derek's pounding got louder. I know your convict boyfriend isn't here, so open this door. Then, breaking glass, Derek had smashed my window. He's breaking in, I screamed. Officers are pulling in now. I ran to my bedroom and locked that door. I heard Derek climbing through the window, cursing. Emma, stop being dramatic. Then sirens. And Marcus's voice, steady and cold. Don't move, Derek. Police are right behind me. You! This is your fault. You stalked her, threatened her, broke into her home. That's all you. Officer Reyes burst in. Police! Nobody move! I emerged to chaos. Derek on the ground, Marcus standing over him but not touching, glass everywhere. But I was safe. Marcus's eyes found mine. You okay? I nodded. Thank God. Relief flooded his face. He turned to Reyes. I have video of everything. Him following her, violating the restraining order, breaking in. They arrested Derek, multiple charges. With the evidence, he was looking at serious time. After everyone left, Marcus finally pulled me close. I felt him shaking. I heard the glass break over the phone. I thought I was too far, that you'd be... But I'm not. I'm okay. We did it. We almost didn't. But we did. You saved me. Again. I made him look at me. You didn't fail. He kissed me desperately. I love you. I know it's too soon and too complicated, but I love you, Emma Porter. I love you too, messy life and all. We cleaned glass and boarded the window. Marcus called Ms. Diaz, who surprised us. You did it right, Webb. Followed protocol. I'm proud of you. But morning brought new problems. Tommy called. Derek's family is hiring a good lawyer. They're planning to argue you orchestrated everything. They'll file complaints with your parole officer, claim you violated conditions. Marcus's expression darkened. They're coming after me now. Let them. We have the truth. The truth doesn't always matter when you have a record like mine. He looked at me. This could get ugly. If they convince the court I'm dangerous, that I used you, then we fight. Together. I'm not giving up on you. He pulled me close. I'm so tired of fighting. Of proving myself constantly. I know, but you don't have to fight alone anymore. We hired a defense attorney, Rebecca Torres, who reviewed everything. Derek's family will argue entrapment. But the evidence is clear. You followed protocol. This is defensible. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was something. That night, exhausted, we ordered pizza and tried to pretend everything was normal. When this is over, Marcus said, I want to take you somewhere. Somewhere quiet. Make new memories that aren't about survival. I'd like that. Emma, this month with you has been the best since I was 23. You've given me something worth fighting for. You gave me that too. You saw me when I was drowning. You taught me I'm worth protecting. We fell asleep together. The future uncertain, but ours to face. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of what came next. Because whatever it was, we'd face it together. With honesty, determination, and the stubborn refusal to let our pasts define our future. Derek's arraignment happened Monday morning. Marcus and I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching as Derek, in an orange jumpsuit, faced the judge. His family filled the front rows, along with an expensive-looking lawyer. The state requests remand without bail, the prosecutor said, citing Derek's escalating behavior. Derek's lawyer stood smoothly. Your Honor, my client is the victim here. The alleged victim's new boyfriend is Marcus Webb, an ex-convict with a history of violence who served 10 years at Pelican Bay. We believe he manipulated this situation to frame my client. We're filing a complaint with his parole officer. My stomach dropped. They were going after Marcus. The judge set bail at $50,000. Outside, Marcus was silent, his jaw tight. They can't prove any of that, I said. Doesn't matter. They planted doubt. Now my parole officer has to investigate. He looked at me. Emma, this could drag on for months. Are you ready for that? I'm not leaving you. That afternoon, Ms. Diaz called us in. Her expression was grave. Derek's lawyer filed a formal complaint. I have to investigate whether you violated parole by getting involved with someone in an active stalking case. She looked at Marcus seriously. If I find anything suggesting you stepped outside the lines, I'll have to recommend parole violation. That means 4 more years at Pelican Bay? 4 years. The number crushed me. We'll cooperate fully, I said. We spent the next week gathering evidence, phone records, police reports, camera footage, witness statements. But Derek's family hired a private investigator who started following us, looking for inconsistencies. The stress was crushing. Marcus barely slept, constantly worried. I watched him withdraw, the lightness we'd found together dimming under legal pressure. One night, I found him at 3 a.m., staring at nothing. I can't do this to you, he said. Can't keep putting you through this. You're not doing anything. Derek's family is. Because of me. Emma, maybe they're right. Maybe I did manipulate. Stop. I grabbed his face. You protected me. You followed every rule. You did nothing wrong. Then why does it feel like I'm losing everything anyway? Because even following the rules, his past made him guilty until proven innocent. If I go back, he said quietly, I need you to promise you'll move on. Live your life. Find someone without all this baggage. I'm not promising that. Please. I can survive 4 years if I know you're okay, but not if you're waiting. I'm not leaving, I interrupted fiercely. I chose you. I'm staying. However long it takes. Marcus pulled me close, trembling. I don't deserve you. Too bad. You're stuck with me. 2 weeks later, Miss Diaz called with her decision. We sat in her office, hands clasped. I've reviewed everything, she said. Mr. Webb acted within his parole conditions. He obtained prior approval, documented everything, didn't initiate violence. The complaint is unfounded. Relief flooded through me. However, she continued, Derek's trial is still pending. If his lawyer convinces a jury you orchestrated this, criminal charges could still result in parole violation. You're not out of this yet. I understand, Marcus said. Outside, he still looked exhausted. We won, I said. She cleared you. For now. But Derek's trial could change everything. Juries see an ex-convict and make assumptions. I stopped him. Marcus Webb, you've proven every day you're not your past. I'm not letting anyone make you doubt that. We're in this together, and we're going to win. Slowly, hope flickered in his eyes. You really believe that? I really do. He kissed me, gentle and desperate. Okay. Together. Together. Derek's trial was set for 6 weeks out. Rebecca Torres prepped us relentlessly, anticipating the defense's strategy. They'll paint Marcus as the aggressor, she warned. A violent ex-con manipulating a vulnerable woman. We counter with documentation. Every text, every call, every moment Marcus followed protocol. But I had another idea. What if I find the real evidence? Something that proves Derek's pattern definitively. What do you mean? Linda mentioned Derek's ex-girlfriend gave a statement once. What if there are others? Women he stalked before me. Rebecca's eyes lit up. If we can establish a pattern of behavior predating Marcus's involvement, it destroys their narrative. I spent the next week tracking down Derek's past. Social media led me to 3 other women. The first, Ashley, hung up when I mentioned Derek's name. The second, Jennifer, agreed to meet me at a coffee shop. He stalked me for 6 months, Jennifer said, her hands shaking around her cup. After I broke up with him. Same pattern, showing up at my work, following me home, breaking things when I wouldn't talk to him. I never reported it because his family has connections. I was scared. Would you testify? She hesitated. If it helps stop him? Yes. The third woman, Michelle, had a restraining order from 2 years ago. When I found her, she started crying. I thought I was the only one. I thought it was my fault somehow. She looked at me. He told me the same things, didn't he? That he loved me too much? That I was overreacting? Exactly the same. By the end of the week, I had 3 women willing to testify about Derek's pattern of stalking and abuse. All before Marcus ever entered my life. Rebecca was thrilled. This is perfect. It establishes Derek's pattern and proves Marcus didn't orchestrate anything. But finding the women changed something in me. I'd spent so long feeling like a victim, like someone who needed protecting. Now I was the one gathering evidence, the one fighting back, the one protecting not just myself, but Marcus and these other women. Marcus noticed, "You're different," he said one evening. How? Stronger, more confident, like you know your own power now. I learned from you. You taught me that survival isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to fight. He pulled me close. I'm so proud of you. The trial began on a cold November morning. Derek's lawyer opened with exactly what Rebecca predicted, painting Marcus as a violent manipulator who'd used me to satisfy his need for confrontation. Mr. Webb spent 10 years learning violence in one of California's most dangerous prisons, the lawyer said dramatically. And then when he saw an opportunity to play hero with a vulnerable woman, he took it, orchestrating a situation where he could legally assault my client. Then Rebecca stood for our side. The defense wants you to believe this is about Marcus Webb. It's not. This is about Derek Paulson's pattern of stalking, harassment, and violence against women who dared to leave him. Let me introduce you to Ashley Chen, Jennifer Martinez, and Michelle Rodriguez, 3 women who will testify to the same behavior the defendant showed toward Emma Porter, all before Marcus Webb was even in the picture. Derek's lawyer objected, but the judge allowed the testimony. One by one, the women told their stories. The pattern was undeniable. Derek's obsessive behavior, his escalation when rejected, his disregard for restraining orders. When I took the stand, I told the truth. About Derek's stalking, about Marcus noticing when no one else did, about the documented evidence, about the trap we'd set with police approval. Derek's lawyer tried to rattle me. Isn't it true you started a romantic relationship with Mr. Webb while he was protecting you? Yes. Doesn't that seem convenient? A violent ex-convict swooping in to save you? Marcus isn't violent, he's careful, he's protective. And he followed every rule while Derek broke everyone. But Mr. Webb has a history of paying for his mistakes, I interrupted, of serving his time, of rebuilding his life. Derek has a history of hurting women and getting away with it. There's a difference. When Marcus took the stand, he was calm and factual. He explained every decision, every document, every moment he'd sought approval before acting. Mr. Webb, Derek's lawyer said, isn't it true that you saw an opportunity to engage in violence legally? No. I saw a woman in danger and I helped her the only way I knew how, carefully, legally, and with constant oversight. But you enjoyed it, didn't you? The confrontation, the chance to use your prison skills? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, I enjoyed keeping Emma safe. I enjoyed doing something good for once. But confrontation? Violence? No. I've seen enough of that to last a lifetime. I just wanted her safe and Derek stopped. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Derek would serve 3 years, with additional time for parole violation from his previous restraining order. Outside the courthouse, Marcus exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for weeks. It's over, I said. Not quite. I still have 8 months of parole. But Emma, he turned to me. Thank you, for fighting, for believing, for not giving up. You taught me how. Rebecca approached with paperwork. One more thing. I contacted Mr. Chen, the store owner from Marcus's original crime. He wants to meet with you. Marcus went pale. Why? He said it's time. Mr. Chen's small apartment smelled like tea and old books. He was 70 now, walking with a cane, the same cane Marcus's crime had made necessary. When he opened the door, Marcus froze. Mr. Chen, Come in, the old man said quietly. We sat in his living room, tension thick. Mr. Chen poured tea with shaking hands. I got your letters, he finally said. All of them, for 8 years. I never expected you to read them. I just needed to acknowledge what you did, to take responsibility. Mr. Chen nodded. I read every one. I'm so sorry. For everything. For what I took from you. You took my sense of safety. My health. Years of peace. Mr. Chen looked at Marcus directly. But you also gave something back. Your letters showed me something I didn't expect. Genuine remorse. Growth. Change. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. I followed your case with Miss Porter. Mr. Chen continued. I saw how you protected her. How you followed the rules. How you've tried to be better. He paused. And the parole board asked my opinion before releasing you. I told them yes. That you'd served your time. That I believed you'd changed. You did? I did. Because your letters convinced me. And watching you with Miss Porter proved I was right. Mr. Chen smiled slightly. You're not the angry boy who robbed my store. You're a man who learned from his mistakes. That matters. Marcus couldn't speak. He just nodded, tears streaming down his face. I forgive you, Marcus Webb. Not because you earned it, no one earns forgiveness, but because holding on to anger was hurting me more than it ever hurt you. So I forgive you, and I hope you can forgive yourself. We left an hour later, Marcus stunned and quiet. In the car, he finally broke down. I spent 10 years thinking he hated me, that I'd destroyed his life. You hurt him, but you also changed. That's what he saw. Emma, he looked at me. I don't know how to forgive myself. how to move past what I did. Maybe you don't move past it. Maybe you carry it and let it make you better. Let it remind you why you choose kindness now. He pulled me close. How did I get so lucky to find you? You didn't find me. You protected me. There's a difference. 6 months later, Marcus's parole ended. We celebrated quietly, dinner at his apartment, talking about the future instead of the past. I applied to community college, I told him. Education degree. I start in the fall. His face lit up. Emma, that's amazing. You inspired me. If you can get your GED in prison and rebuild your entire life, I can finish my degree. We're doing this, aren't we? Actually building something real? We really are. Marcus took my hand. I want to ask you something, and you can say no if it's too soon or too much. My heart raced. Okay. Move in with me. Officially, let's stop splitting time between apartments and just be together. Build a home. Yes, I said immediately. Absolutely yes. We moved my things the following weekend. Marcus had upgraded to a small 2-bedroom, one for us, one he was converting into a woodworking shop. He'd started taking carpentry commissions, building furniture on weekends. This is what I dreamed about inside, he admitted, showing me the half-finished workbench. Having my own space, creating things instead of destroying them. Life settled into something beautifully ordinary. I studied while Marcus worked. We cooked dinners together, took walks, visited Mr. Chen monthly for tea. Marcus reconnected with his sister, slowly rebuilding their relationship. She finally let him meet his niece, a tearful reunion that left him shaking. One evening, a year after Derek's conviction, we drove to the coast. The same beach Marcus had mentioned wanting to visit. We watched the sunset over the Pacific, the sky turning gold and pink. I never thought I'd have this, Marcus said quietly. Freedom, love, a future that's actually worth living. You earned it, every day, with every choice to be better. We earned it together. He turned to me. Emma Porter, you saved my life, not by rescuing me, but by seeing me, by believing I could be more than my worst mistake. You saved mine too, by showing me what real protection looks like, what real love looks like. He kissed me as the sun disappeared below the horizon, and I felt it, the absolute certainty that this was where I belonged. Not despite the complications, but because of them. Because we'd fought for this, because we'd chosen each other when it would have been easier to walk away. What now? I asked. Now? Marcus smiled. Now we just live. We build our life, day by day, choice by choice. We remember where we came from, but we don't let it define where we're going. I like the sound of that. Me too. We sat on that beach until stars filled the sky, holding hands, talking about small dreams, the furniture Marcus wanted to build, the classroom I'd someday teach in, the life we were creating from the ruins of our pasts. Some love stories start with fireworks. Ours started with broken locks and a man who'd learned the hard way that redemption isn't a destination. It's the work you do every single day to become someone worth a second chance. And I'd choose him, and that work, and that love, every single time. If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.